Okay, Mayor, the meeting is now being recorded.
Thank you. The meeting will now reconvene at 6:06 PM. City Attorney, please provide the closed session report.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. The City Council is now back in open session, having met in closed session to discuss the item listed on the agenda. Staff provided a report, but no reportable action was taken. This concludes my report. Thank you.
If there is no objection by the City Council, I will now adjourn the closed session City Council meeting at 6:07 PM. Okay, and good evening and welcome to the August 12th, 2024, 6 PM regular joint meeting of the Bell Garden City Council and Successor Agency to the Community Development Commission. The meeting will now come to order at 6:07 PM. Members of the public may view the agenda and listen to the meeting live online through the city's website as noted on the agenda. If any of the members should have a conflict of interest, please announce any item you are recusing from due to a conflict of interest prior to the item being heard. Hearing none, Councilmember Maria Pulido will be joining us remotely and will now be given the opportunity to make an announcement at this time.
Thank you. Pursuant to AB 2449 emergency circumstances, I would like to request approval to remotely participate in tonight's council meeting since a family medical emergency is keeping me from participating in person. I appreciate your consideration.
Just for clarification, Councilmember Pulido, is there anyone over the age of 18 present in your remote location?
No.
Thank you.
City Clerk?
For the record, please note that a written request of the family medical emergency was distributed to the full council.
May I please have a motion to approve Councilmember Maria Pulido to join remotely?
I make a motion to allow her to approve, sorry, I make a motion to allow her, Councilmember Maria Pulido, to join remotely.
May I have a second?
And second that motion?
Okay, motion made by Councilmember Sanchez de Leon and second by Mayor Pro Tem Barcena. City Clerk, please conduct a roll call vote.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Chavez?
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barcena?
Yes.
And Mayor Gomez?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
And tonight's invocation will be given by Minister Daniel Anguiano.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Let's bow our heads as we come before God. Heavenly Father, I'd like to thank you for giving us this opportunity to be here. We come before you to acknowledge you as our highest authority, and as your word says in Timothy, that you instruct us to pray over those whom you set over us as our authority. And I come before you to thank you for everyone, every leader in this room whom you've placed. And I just like to bless them. I like to bless the work of their hands and all that they do for our city. I also like to take the moment to pray over the finances of the city, the administration, and those who bear the sword whom you've put over us to protect us. And I pray that you bring them back every day safely back to their home. I ask you this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Okay, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Chief Camacho.
Face the flag. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance.
Okay, we will now move to the presentations, and I will be reading out the presentations. The first one we have is a certificate of recognition to Toastmasters Dynamic Force Masters Club 587 for the designation of the President's Distinguished Club. And for that, we have Mayor Pro Tem Barcena.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for allowing me to do this presentation for our Toastmasters Club Dynamic Force Masters Club 587. And at this moment, I'd like to call Monica Gross up to the lectern right over there. And she will be receiving this certificate on behalf of the club. This is the certificate for those of you joining us virtually. This certificate of recognition honoring Toastmasters Dynamic Force Masters Club 587. The Bell Gardens City Council proudly recognizes Toastmasters Dynamic Force Masters Club 587 for achieving the prestigious President's Distinguished Club status in 2024, marking 17 years of excellence. Toastmasters International, a nonprofit organization, teaches public speaking and leadership skills worldwide, and this honor reflects the club's consistent dedication to empowering its members. Congratulations to Dynamic Force Masters Club 587 on this remarkable achievement. Your commitment to foster growth and leadership is truly commendable. And at this point, Madam Mayor, would you like to open up comments for our colleagues, or would you like to hear a few words from our president from Toastmasters?
Why don't we hear from her first?
Okay, Monica Gross, go ahead. Let us know.
Hi, everyone. I've been president for about 6 months of this group. I've been a member for 5 years, and I joined after retirement to try and improve my public speaking skills. So we are a group of about 20 individuals, men and women. We have lots of young people joining recently. We meet every Tuesday night up in your room upstairs, and we appreciate so much that you've offered that to us, because we have hybrid members who couldn't attend unless we had such technology available to us. So I'd like to invite all the members that are here and members of the public. If you'd like to come and check our meeting out, we would invite you to come at 6 o'clock on Tuesday night. Just walk up the stairs and we'll greet you warmly and let you experience what our meetings are about. They're friendly and they are helpful in order to improve a person's leadership abilities and their ability to speak in public. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. As I mentioned, Monica Gross is our club president. She's been doing an amazing job. President Distinguished requires all of our members to achieve a high level of accomplishment within the club. And we have a wide range of members. Some of them are doctors, others are lawyers. We have council members. Our current assembly member used to be part of this club also. So we're very, very proud of this club. We think that it brings a lot of values to our community, and I want to thank you, Madam President, for taking the lead and volunteering your time in making sure that our club is successful. We really appreciate it, and I also want to invite everyone to stop by our club meetings on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Is that correct? Yes, Tuesdays at 6 p.m. You're all welcome. This is open to all cities, whether you live here or in Downey. Everyone is welcome. The only requirement is that you need to be over 18 years old. And as our president mentioned, we do meet here at City Hall, and we do have virtual meetings, which if you can't make it here in person, you're welcome to log on. Thank you again.
Does anyone else have any comments? Well, I will just say that I can tell that you are a Toastmaster because you don't or ah when you're speaking. As a former Toastmaster, I know how challenging that is. So thank you so much for setting the example of what it takes to become a public speaker, an effective public speaker, and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Let's take a picture. Our second proclamation is for Purple Heart Day, and that will be done by Councilmember Francis Sanchez de Leon.
A proclamation recognizing Purple Heart Day 2024. Whereas President George Washington created the Badge of Military Merit to honor brave military personnel, and in 1932, on the 200th anniversary of Washington's birth, the badge was renamed to the Order of the Purple Heart. And whereas the Purple Heart is a combat decoration awarded to members of the armed forces of the United States military who are wounded in conflict with an enemy force to the next of its kin in the name of those killed in action or die of wounds received in action. And whereas the Purple Heart was the first American served award or decoration made available to the common soldier and is specifically awarded to members of the United States Armed Forces who have been wounded or have paid the ultimate sacrifice in combat with the declared enemy of the United States of America. And whereas the City of Bell Gardens is honored to recognize all military members who have served or are currently serving and is proud to recognize Purple Heart Day as a special tribute to those brave service members who have received the Purple Heart. Now therefore be it resolved that Gabriela Gomez, Mayor, City of Bell Gardens, with the City Council do hereby proclaim August 7, 2024, and annually thereafter as Purple Heart Day in the City of Bell Gardens, and urge all residents and citizens to show their appreciation for the sacrifices all Purple Heart recipients have made in defending our freedoms, to acknowledge their courage and to show them the honor and support they have so selflessly earned. Proclaimed this 12th day of August 2024 and signed by our Mayor Gabriela Gomez. And I do want to thank all of the military families that have received one of the Purple Hearts because of the ultimate sacrifice. Thank you.
Does anyone want to make any comments? Okay, thank you. I have to remember Councilmember Pulido is with us as well. Any comments, Councilmember Pulido? Okay, thank you. Our next proclamation is for National Fentanyl Prevention and Awareness Day. And I will go ahead and read that. This is a proclamation recognizing National Fentanyl Prevention and Awareness Day, whereas National Fentanyl Prevention and Awareness Day is a day of education to raise public awareness that people are dying at an alarming rate due to illegally made fentanyl, and whereas fentanyl is a synthetic opioid that is approximately 50 times more potent than heroin and 100 times more potent than morphine, and whereas fentanyl is odorless, tasteless, inexpensive, widely available, highly addictive, and often found in counterfeit pills disguised as OxyContin, Percocet, Adderall, Xanax, and Vicodin, which can be deadly. And whereas criminal drug networks are harnessing the accessibility of social media and e-commerce to push deadly drugs into American communities and lure youth, and whereas overdose deaths linked to synthetic opioids like fentanyl tripled nationally among teenagers, and whereas some deaths attributed to fentanyl mixed with other illicit drugs like cocaine, methamphetamine, and heroin, with many users unaware that they were actually taking fentanyl, and whereas fentanyl-related deaths occur approximately every 9 minutes, and whereas 2 milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal, and whereas fentanyl poisoning is now the leading cause of death for adults aged 18 to 45 in the United States, surpassing suicide, gun violence, and car violence. And whereas the DEA has observed August 21st as National Fentanyl Prevention and Awareness Day in remembrance of loved ones that die from fentanyl poisoning. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Gabriela Gomez, Mayor of the City of Bell Gardens, with the City Council, do hereby proclaim August 21st as National Fentanyl Prevention and Awareness Day in the City of Bell Gardens, and urge all citizens to acknowledge the devastation this drug has brought to thousands of affected family members and friends, and bring awareness about the dangers of fentanyl. Let's proclaim this 12th day of August 2024. Any comments? All right, thank you. We will move on. City Manager, we will now begin with item number 1 on the agenda. At this time, I will open the public hearing at 6:21 p.m. City Manager, will you please introduce this item?
Yes, Mayor Gomez. Give me 1 second here, please. I apologize for not being in person. I have a health issue I'm dealing with, but it's not precluding me from being able to do the job, just not in person. So this item is an introduction of ordinance number 948 to authorize a development agreement by and between the City of Bell Gardens and BG Flower and 7601 Eastern LLC relating to the property located at 7601 Eastern Avenue. With that, I will turn it over to our Community Development Director, Gus Romo, and other staff will provide a presentation. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. This item was presented to the city's Planning Commission recently in July for a 7,678 square foot development. So I'll go ahead and start off here. This is located at 7601 Eastern Avenue. If you recall, this was the former Ace Hardware site. The applicant, Mr. Aram Akim, had purchased the site through the Surplus Land Act and ultimately went through escrow. This site was originally owned by the successor agency of the former Community Development Commission. So after closing escrow, Mr. Aram went ahead and developed plans for a single-story, or I should say a two-story structure. He decided then to abandon that development and come in with a multi-building concept. This concept I'll show to you right now was brought before the Planning Commission with the idea of having other uses besides the retail cannabis at 7601 Eastern Avenue. So what we're asking for tonight is to waive the full reading and introduce Ordinance 948 for the development agreement by title only, and also conduct the first reading of this ordinance, authorizing the city to enter into this development agreement, which is required for cannabis retail uses in the City of Bell Gardens, in exchange for public benefits. This is Ordinance 948. So as I've indicated to you, the Planning Commission went ahead and approved the conditional use permit that's required for this use as identified in the city's code for cannabis retail use. The building itself is a commercial development sitting on this corner of Priory and Eastern Avenues. It's single story and you have a total of 7 suites now. And this is located in the RC Regional Commercial designation, which does allow this use, and also the C4 zone. So ultimately, the Planning Commission adopted a resolution which approved the conditional use permit and recommended to the City Council approval of the development agreement, which again is Ordinance 948. If approved tonight for first reading, it'll go on to a second reading the next meeting, next regularly scheduled meeting, and then 30 days after that, if approved, it would become effective. So this site does comply with all of the criteria for distance between sensitive uses and also between other cannabis uses. Subject site, as I indicated, is on the southwest corner of Priory and Eastern Avenues. Surrounding is all commercial zoning, and the site itself is about 25,000 square feet. The site has met all of the requirements for the zoning code in terms of the parking and setbacks, lot coverage, floor area ratio, and height. As you can see here, out of the 4 buildings proposed with a multi-tenant uses, the retail cannabis is proposed on the corner. You have a total of 1,821 square feet that's being proposed for the cannabis use, and a total of 30 parking spaces while the code only requires 20. There's also proposed landscaping throughout and access from the Priory Street, but there's also walkable access from Eastern Avenue through 2 alleyways that you see on the site plan there. So when you look at the floor plan, the retail is up in the corner of the building. You've got the office and the break room located in the rear, and you have a counter as well for the customers to come by. It's contemporary architecture, and ultimately you have the same design for all of the buildings throughout. The subject site conditions have been identified in the conditional use permit for maintenance, debris and graffiti removal at a timely manner, and prohibition of consumption on-site of the cannabis products. So that's a given for any cannabis retail use. Security guards 24 hours a day, including at least one overnight, and there is a separate bathroom building for that security guard. Age restrictions, like all cannabis uses, employees have to be at least 21 years old, and patrons at least 21 years old, or 18 years with medical recommendation. Hours of operation are restricted from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., with the last delivery to be placed by 9 p.m. Proposed development agreement was looked at by staff and our city attorney and negotiated with the applicant. Development agreement is for initial 5-year term, subject to an extension of an additional 5 years for a total of a 10-year term. And as part of that negotiations, as with other cannabis retail uses, the community benefit is in the amount of $100,000 renewed on an annual basis every January. And there's also a quarterly community benefit equal to 7% of gross revenue, gross receipts, and that's separate from the $100,000. So in all, 80% of the community benefits are dedicated towards the city's youth and educational program and also the city's housing programs to benefit with the rental assistance, enrichment classes, capital improvements, housing programming, and long-range planning also. But again, it's not limited to these. It can go towards rent stabilization efforts and other programs that the city council sees fit. The applicant's request is consistent with the general plan. As with other cannabis uses, we looked at general plan policies. The city's land use policy 3 promotes compatible commercial development. This does meet that, and also economic vitality. Land use policy 5 provides that an environment to stimulate local employment is going to be there. Property values are going to go up. Community stability and the economic vitality of existing local businesses will be maintained. So all in all, the city staff looked at Chapter 9.12, Eastern and Florence Standards for Design Guidelines, and this design does meet those standards. We also looked at Section 9.50, which has to do with conditional use permits and meeting all the findings of fact for those CUPs, and it did meet those findings. Ultimately, the cannabis retail use chapter, which is 9.20, and again, it does comply with all of those standards as well. So the recommendation, again, council, is to waive full reading and introduce ordinance 948 by title only after conducting this public hearing, and introduce ordinance 948, authorizing the city to enter into this proposed development agreement with Cush operation. That concludes my report. If there are any questions, the applicant is also here to make a presentation for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the applicant wish to speak? You have about 10 minutes.
Hello, Honorable City Council. How does one speak after a Toastmaster without getting nervous? I'll try my best. Although I may be slow or incoherent, please bear with me as I've been bedridden for a few days now. And I made sure to be here today. I'm happy we got this far. It took a long time, but city staff were great. We worked together and we were able to get here to see you tonight. We are Kush Company. We have been in the industry since its beginning, since its inception. We are one of the original cultivators in California, specifically the OG strain, which we are known for. We're vertically integrated. We have a vast distribution network of over hundreds of stores that we've been distributing to throughout the years. We are local. for close to 5 years now, for only around like a mile away in the city of Montebello, right next to the 5 freeway. We have won multiple awards throughout the years of having the best flower strains for numerous strains. We also have significant experience in cannabis retail under many different brands. This is going to be the first Kush Company store, and we felt that it would be appropriate because of us being local. We find community is very important. We worked with the community. We did an outreach program. We got around 100 signatures from local residents. In the city of Montebello, we've never had any complaints, and we are probably, if not the biggest, the second biggest in the city of Montebello in cultivation. And cultivation, I'm here to admit it, that it can have an odor, and we haven't had an odor issue. We maintain the odor within our facility. Once you walk in, you smell it, but outside the walls, you don't smell it. I do not expect us to have any issues with odor at a retail store, as everything is final packaged, it's sealed. Smell doesn't really leave the containers it's in, and we will have carbon filters in the storage room and in the retail showroom to prevent any sort of odor. We will be providing competitive wages and a local hiring policy, and we will be providing support to the Southeast Leadership Network for the arts program, as we feel that the arts beautify any city, and with the change of time, it's kind of it's a medium that is not what it used to be because of the digital aspect of where it evolved to, and I feel like we need more arts within the city that we can actually physically see, and to potentially even give a wall within the store to allow certain residents of the city to, for instance, have a monthly or quarterly artwork hung within the store for residents to see, and kind of give them the publicity, or kind of the help them out if they're trying to have people see their artwork, because we're going to have a lot of visitors come into our store. We're located right in front of the American Legion, and we feel it's very important to be a supporter of the American Legion and to provide discounts to veterans. We will have a community representative 24/7 available, a security guard on the premises to deter any type of crime. And I've been made aware that there's a 7-Eleven shopping center behind us that tends to be crime ridden, and I believe an extra set of eyes to be there 24/7 will help, as it's a vacant lot, and it's kind of a blight to the city when it's such an important corner. And I believe what we designed, we changed what our initial plans were. We listened to what the Planning Commission hearing had to say, and we turned it on its head. Within less than a month, we submitted a new set of plans to bring forth this project that fits with the area more so. I would like to thank everyone involved. I would just have one final request, is if we could have the City Council potentially reconsider including the property owner as a party to the development agreement. The main reason for this is to allow for flexibility. This project is not like other projects, other development agreements that the city has approved or will approve on a second reading today. This is a 25,000 square feet lot. It is 4 individual buildings. It is a massive project, and we would like to be flexible in cases of potentially getting a loan. We have spent over $2 million on this project so far, more than any applicant by far, and we just want to have the ability to to get a loan if we need to. Not saying that we will, just if push comes to shove, we have that option. We have that line of credit. Because with signing this agreement, I've spoken to many lenders, and they would not be willing to give a loan because of the property owner being a signatory to this agreement. That is all. If you guys have any questions for me, by all means.
Thank you. We will now move to council member questions or comments. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments?
Regarding the 4 buildings, can you please identify what each building use is going to be?
So the corner building will be the cannabis retail store. The other units are flexible. They're general retail. What we're envisioning is kind of an area that, from what I have seen, the city is lacking in, is an area with multiple usages, with a courtyard in the middle where people can congregate, whether it be a barber shop, a hair salon, nail salon, a coffee shop, somewhere where people can come together and not just see it as, oh, that's a cannabis store. No, it's this small little village within the city where people can come to, and we have accesses from the Priori side, we have 2 accesses from the eastern side to kind of bring people together to this center point. And to have, we have multiple bicycle parkings as well. So not only walking, but also bicycles. We have multiple EV parking spots as well. So we're trying to create a small community here.
The businesses that you're going to consider inviting to those buildings, are they going to cause any conflict with the cannabis dispensary, seeing that you want to have people there that are over 21? And is there going to be any issue with some of those retail stores being for underage, or any potential for that?
No, because our building is separate from the rest. We're not sharing any walls. We have our separate entrance. It's not a mall where you enter and there's all different types of stores that you can freely enter. Our entrance is going to be secured to only those who are 21 or 18 with the medical card. The other businesses are free to have their own rules of who they would like to enter. That's not for us to decide.
And then the last question, I know you want the consideration for the owner. Is the operator and the owner the same person?
Yes.
Thank you.
Questions?
I had questions, but she took all of them, so thank you for answering that.
And I do have some questions. I'm sorry, Councilmember Pulido, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Thank you. And I do have questions, just going back to the property owner as a lien holder, or as the city as a lien holder over the property, correct? Paul, can you speak to that part of it?
Apologies, Mayor, I wasn't clear that your question was directed at me. Can you
Sorry.
repeat the question again?
So just talking about the lien that would be on the property, that's as it's stated in the development agreement. Can you explain what that
Sure.
process
So
is?
it's not a lien, but development agreements are recorded against title. All development agreements by state law are recorded against title to let property owners or prospective property owners know what encumbrances are on a property, similar to like an easement, right? If you're looking at the property, or potentially maybe, as the applicant has stated, looking for financing, folks will look at what encumbrances are on the property. So putting a DA is not only customary to put on title, but it's actually required by state law.
Say that part again, what's required
So
by state law?
DAs are recorded on title, and that's a requirement pursuant to state law.
Okay. Did you want to say something? Go ahead.
So if, for instance, in the city of Montebello, we also have a DA, but only the business, the tenant is the one who's signing the DA, not the property owner. It is recorded on title, yes, but it's the tenant and not the landowner who signs.
And so in this case, the fact that you're both the tenant and the landowner,
Yes.
how does that affect your ability to be flexible?
So in this case, as the owner of the property, signing the development agreement, any lender that looks at the development agreement sees that potentially the property owner can be completely at fault for anything that the tenant does incorrectly. For instance, if they don't pay their taxes, the city will go after the property owner. And this isn't a scheme or any type of way. I am the tenant, I am the property owner. I'm here because I want to have a successful business. I'm not here to only keep the liability on the tenant. This is solely for the reason to allow for flexibility. And when a lender looks at this, they will see, okay, we give a loan, however, we don't know who the tenant is. We're giving the loan to the property owner, and the property owner has technically zero control over the tenant's operations. And I do have partners on the tenant side as the cannabis dispensary. So it's not just me by myself. And as much as you would like to explain that, they're looking at, hey, if we give you this loan, the city can come after you for God knows how much money. There's no figure there. So it's a significant risk for them.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I have no further questions. If anyone has any other questions? No? Yes.
The last question I had, I know that you said you're one of the original cultivators, right? And
Yes.
one of the originals in the business when cannabis came to California and was made legal. So with that being said, you said you had about over 100 stores with the Kush company?
No, sorry, we're a distributor, and we have hundreds of stores that we distribute to within Southern California, Central California, Northern California.
How many stores do you have currently operating?
Currently, I'm involved in the operation of 2 stores. They are not Kushco stores.
I was just trying to see what capital you have and if there was a reason why you were trying to separate the operator and the owner.
It's, to separate the operator and owner is common practice in all business types.
Okay. Yes?
I do have a question. Because your project is different than what we've seen with other proposals, and it also involves retail stores that are not cannabis, would there be a way to require only that particular lot to fulfill the signature requirement, or does that apply to all of the other sites as well? Because I understand what you're asking for to some degree, but I don't know if that requirement extends throughout the entirety of the project, or if it just applies to that one lot that's going to be a retail cannabis shop.
Sure, council member. So, couple things. The development agreement speaks specifically to the cannabis retail use. So even though, so it allows a cannabis retail use to be permitted on the site. I think what you might be imagining is a property with several parcels. That's a little different, but what we're doing is we're actually just attacking the cannabis retail use, and that's what is permitted there. So by including both the operator and the property owner, because they're both LLCs or limited liability companies, there's very limited recourse that a city or any party an aggrieved party may have in a contract situation in terms of not fulfilling maybe the terms and obligations under the contract. So what has been presented before you essentially allows the city just another option for recourse if the LLC disappears, goes bankrupt, and the city is owed something. And the city is seeking to enforce the rights under the contract in some way, shape, or form. But the obligations, at least as it relates to the community benefits, only goes to that cannabis operator. It does not apply to any other prospective tenants of the site or future tenants of the site, if that helps.
Thank you so much for that, Paloma. Another quick question. So just to confirm, this is essentially more protection for the city, right?
Yes, council member.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We will now open public comments for this item. I will call 3 speakers at a time. Please make your way over to the podium to line up. City Clerk, please announce the instructions for public participation.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of the public will now have an opportunity to speak on public hearing item number 1 as listed on the agenda. Please state your name for the record before addressing your comments. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Callers wishing to make a comment may do so at this time by dialing *9 from your phone, and when instructed, dial *6 to unmute yourself. Individuals joining us through Zoom may make a request to make a comment by using the raise hand feature and select the unmute or microphone icon when instructed. We will hear from speakers that are in person. We did not receive any written communication.
Thank you. First speaker is BC. Please come to the podium.
Well, I couldn't pass this up, that's for sure. It's getting more complex every time out, seems like. But man, we're gonna make the property prices go up. We're gonna have artwork. We're gonna hit the Kush, and then we're gonna enjoy that Salvador Dali type art, you know, the melting clocks and stuff like that. Something we can appreciate, you know, it'll enhance our quality of life. It's a sad path you've gone in this city down there to entertain pot shops and distributors, and then even try to portray it as it's going to curb the crime across the street. Man, I can just imagine what's going to happen over there. The point is very simply, you've gone down a path that is not good. Your explanations for protection for the city are not very good. You guys are really stumbling through this because you shouldn't be doing it. And all the gaslighting that you're doing, acting like you're going to get all these benefits, and you're not helping anybody's life. They do a survey of 100 people. Well, unfortunately for you, I was here when I saw 300 people oppose it. And there was maybe 5 that were for it. And then one night from Montebello, you brought in some old stoners to come in here and tell you how great pot was. You know, look, come on, you're not kidding anybody. The fact is maybe Kush needs to give each of you $30,000 or $40,000 for your campaigns to get your vote. That's what they're doing over in Downey. Is that where you're getting your ideas from? You want to go to Downey next with the mayor, Mario Trujillo, and Fernando Vasquez? They're giving Luis Morales $50,000 over there right now. And that's why Mario Trujillo is endorsing him, so he can get the 3rd vote in that block to vote for pot shops in Downey. We all know about it. And you're not benefiting anybody by doing this. So you hang out with Mario Trujillo at Naleo, and he's giving you these ideas. And that's why he's under some investigations already over there in Downey. It's not a good path to go down. You're going down, you're crumbling, do things legitimately. Give up the pot shops.
Next speaker, Rogelio Rodriguez.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Rogelio Rodríguez. Yo vivo soy vecino de la propiedad de la que está en discusión en este momento. Ya tenemos una tienda de venta de cigarros de marihuana ahí en ese mismo lugar. ¿Qué es lo que piensan ustedes hacer? ¿Llenar nuestra ciudad de puros marihuanos? Porque la última vez que ustedes convocaron a la gente, la mayoría era de por fuera, no era de aquí de Bell Gardens. Entonces esas personas son las que van a vivir lo que nosotros vamos a vivir con esas estúpidas decisiones que están tomando ustedes. Esta ciudad es muy pequeña para tener 5, 6, 8 o 12 tiendas de marihuana. Eso es lo que están criando también para sus hijos, pura bola de marihuanos, y al rato van a ser hombres. Espero no verlos a ustedes ahí un día de estos. Gracias.
If there's no objection by the member, do we have any other comments online, sorry?
No one's raised their hand.
Okay, thank you. If there is no objection by members of the City Council Successor Agency, I will close public participation for public hearing item number 1. And if there are there any further comments? None? Okay, so if there are no further council member questions or comments, I will now close the public hearing at 6:52. Okay, so, given the discussion that we've had, given the fact that this applicant is actually bringing in more opportunities for additional retail businesses within the city, which will help us to gain some more revenue, right? I would like to make a motion to, give me 1 second. Oh my gosh, where am I? Where am I? Where am I? Where am I? Where are my notes? Because I would like to make a motion to direct staff to bring back ordinance number 948 for first reading with an amendment that removes liability on the part of the property owner. And that's simply because we do have other retail establishments that are there, and I think that it is a fair request so that the property owner does have flexibility with those additional retail properties. So can I have a second?
I'll go ahead and second that.
May I have a roll call vote?
Yes, thank you. Members of the Council Successor Agency, Chavez,
No.
Councilmember Pulido,
Yes.
Councilmember Sanchez,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Barcena,
Yes.
and Mayor Gomez.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-2.
We will now begin with item number 2 on the agenda. At this time, I will open the public hearing at 6:54 p.m. City Manager, will you please introduce this item?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Gomez. This item is a consideration of an ordinance for a military equipment use policy. This is an item that comes to the council on an annual basis. And I will turn it over to the Bell Gardens Police Department Chief Camacho. Thank you, Mayor.
Lieutenant Vargas is going to be doing the presentation for tonight.
Members of the City Council. All right, my presentation is going to be about Assembly Bill 481. The goal of this presentation is to outline and explain the California Assembly Bill, to describe the needs and importance of this equipment, which is used to maintain public safety and provide the highest quality of police services to our community, and then to provide an annual report to the City Council as defined by the Assembly Bill. So what is Assembly Bill 481? Requires law enforcement agencies to obtain approval by the governing body by way of ordinance adopting the military equipment use policy prior to taking certain actions relating to funding, acquisition, or use of equipment. And why is this equipment important? To protect and safeguard the community, to de-escalate and bring a safe resolution to critical incidents, and to properly equip our officers to do their job. AB 481 military equipment defined. Assembly Bill 481 created a government code 7070 through 7075,
which designated 15 categories or items deemed as military equipment. The Bell Gardens Police Department has equipment that meets the criteria of military equipment in 5 of those 15 categories. For a complete list of all the 15 categories, you can refer to the website legendfulllegislatures.ca.gov. So here's the equipment list. So to start, category 1 would be drones. So the department has 8 drones listed here: 2 Mavic Pro Zoom Flight, 1 Autel Evo 2 Pro, 2 Lokis, 1 DJI Avata, 1 DJI Mattress, and then the 1 DJI Avata 2. So I'll go into it later on if you have questions about when we use this military equipment or military style equipment. Category 2, our department has 1 Cayman armored personnel carrier. That's a rescue vehicle as well. Category 9, specialized firearms and ammunition. We have 52 Colt carbines, 6 HK rifles, 4 DPMS rifles, 2 Bushmaster rifles, 2 Smith & Wesson M&P rifles, 1 Hydromatic Division GM rifle, and 12 other M4 platform rifles. 30 of the 52 carbine rifles were purchased to replace old and worn out rifles, and then 1 308 Ruger American bolt action rifle. Category 9 continued, ammunition. We have 5,000 5.56 caliber ammunition for those rifles that were mentioned before, and then 1,200 of the 308 caliber ammunition. Next category, category 12, diversionary devices, explosive breaching tools. Diversionary devices, flashbangs as they're also known, we have 81 of those. Breaching tools, we have dead cord or detonating cord, we have 60 feet of that. Blasting caps, we have 40 of those. Sheet explosives, we have 1 sheet, and then we have 3 breaching shotguns. Chemical munitions, category 12, we have 42 white smoke canisters, 8 triple chase, 9 speed heats, 31 pocket tacticals, 14 tri-chamber, 14 CS flameless explosion, 3 OC flameless explosion, 10 Stinger CS rubber ball, 17 Stinger OC rubber balls, and then 4 aerosol OC aerosol cans, and then 28 riot control munitions. Projectile launch platforms and associated munitions, category 14. We have 6 40mm launchers, shown here at the top. And then we have 30 ferrets, 30 direct impact OC crushable rounds, 60 direct impact CS crushable rounds, and 77 sponge rounds, which are launched by that launcher at the top there. We have 7 beanbag shotguns in the orange here, and we have 20 munitions for that shotgun. Deployment, so part of the report is we report how many times this equipment or these pieces of equipment were deployed during the year for the reporting period. We deployed the drone 11 times. We deployed the armored vehicle 9 times. Specialized firearms, we didn't deploy them. Diversionary devices were deployed 3 times. Breaching tools weren't deployed. Chemical munitions were deployed once. The 40mm launcher was deployed 3 times, and the beanbag shotgun was not deployed at all. Also part of the reporting requirements, complaints generated by the use of these equipment. We had no complaints. And then additional resources that we could look up more information, the BG Policy 706, which is on the city website, AB 481 Annual Report, which is what we're doing now, and it's all obviously at the bellgardens.org website. And in closing, each piece of equipment is crucial for the department's ability to maintain public safety. thank you for your time. And I'll take any questions if you guys have any.
Thank you. We'll now move to council member questions or comments. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments?
Yes. How often do you guys have to replace the drones if needed?
So our drone program is fairly new. We've been acquiring drones as I think for the past 2 years we've been acquiring the drones. Their life, as technology moves on, it's like any piece of equipment. We haven't been able to, I guess, do the research on when exactly these drones are going to be end of life, if you would say. I would think as technology moves on, maybe 5 years, they'll be obsolete, and we have to continue with either refreshing the drones or getting new software for the drones. So that's what we anticipate.
When you guys drive the armored vehicle throughout the city, are there certain streets that vehicle does not fit in? And does that prohibit you guys from supporting whatever situation it is on that street?
So it's funny you say that. It looks big, and I thought the same thing, but it could go in any one of our streets. Obviously, there are streets that are more narrow than others, like the 6500 block of Scout, for example. It's pretty narrow. But we have another piece of armor that's not considered military equipment. It was pretty much an old bank truck, if you will. And that one we will take when a situation arises where the other one's too big for that.
Councilmember Francis Leon Sanchez, I'd just like to add something that Lieutenant Barros left out. So I think that's a good question that you have, because we have been in situations where when we normally do a plan operation, we could pretty much get Public Works and others to help us. But like if it's an immediate life and death situation, like right now on Scout, like Lieutenant Barnes was talking, there's no way I'm going to be able to drive that vehicle without knocking a couple of vehicles out of the way, because of the, you can see it's a big truck. So one of the things that we've been wanting to hopefully bring to City Council in the future is looking into a smaller armored vehicle that would be beneficial to the community and to those type of situations, because it's a smaller vehicle, and they're mostly rescue vehicles. So I think that provides a little bit more information.
Thank you. Yeah, just looking at and thinking about it, just because the parking situation is so bad in our city, right? And sometimes I know there's vehicles that are double parked, but even in a wide street, like the street that I live on, if there's cars parked on both sides and that vehicle were to try to come in, I want to make sure that it's accessible to all streets within our city.
Just to kind of follow up on what the chief mentioned, and thank you for clarifying, Chief. The surrounding cities have some of these vehicles that the chief was talking about, Downey, Huntington Park. They have, I guess, more modern vehicles that are rescue vehicles. They're based on truck chassis, so they're actually smaller and capable of more than what our larger vehicle is capable of.
Thank you so much.
So first of all, I appreciate the report that you guys are giving. I feel like it provides transparency for the city. I did get some questions from residents, and I just want to verify that this does not have a fiscal impact, correct? We're just reporting on what we use, so there is really nothing, no decisions being taken here. We're just complying with the law. And so I appreciate that. And I wanted to also ask, you guys have a meeting, right, that you do, like a workshop? Because I think I went to that last year, and you put out a flyer letting the public know, correct? Can you tell me more about that?
Yes, we had a town hall meeting. We had one in Spanish and one in English. I forget the date, Chief, if you remember, maybe a couple weeks ago. We posted it online, and we had some pretty good feedback from the public in those meetings. And we run a presentation similar to the one, actually, with all the information that you all saw here.
Councilmember Marco Persona, if I may add, yes, I think the one that was a big hit was the Spanish one. That was about, from what I recall, it was about 23, 25 residents that came out, and we provided the power presentation that you guys are seeing here. And then we took the time to really answer all their questions. And I was really impressed with all their questions, and at the end, I think they wanted to know exactly what their police department has and why we have this type of equipment and how it's used.
Yeah, the meeting was on the 17th of July.
Thank you, Councilmember Pulido. Any questions?
No questions.
Thank you. I'm just curious, the drones, I just want to know how you use those and what circumstances are you using those?
So the drones, so some of the software that we have, so for accident reconstruction, right? So mapping software. So instead of doing it the old school way of doing it would be we would be on the ground and doing measurements by hand. Now with the mapping software, we shoot the drone up and it could just map certain points for debris, you know, for an accident, right? For debris and things like that. We also use it to scout locations when we're gonna serve a search warrant. If there's a missing person, we could send a drone out. We also cover events, right? When we have events out at the park, we send a drone up for safety reasons or just to see the crowd. So investigative purposes also. Instead that there's a large crowd, we're looking for someone or someone ran into the park, we could launch that drone, or in the riverbed, we could launch that drone prior to sending officers out there.
One last question regarding the vehicles. You said that you have a smaller vehicle. Will that also be able to go through our alleyways, for example? Some of our alleyways are very narrow.
The smaller one will, yes.
Okay.
The larger one, like we were talking, it's cumbersome. It's a large rescue vehicle, but we do have the smaller one.
All right, thank you very much. And at this time, if there are no more questions or comments, then we will move on to public comments for this item. I will call 3 speakers at a time. Please make your way over to the podium to line up. City Clerk, please announce the instructions for public participation.
Thank you. Members of the public will now have an opportunity to speak on public hearing item number 2. Please state your name for the record. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Callers wishing to make a comment may do so at this time by dialing *9 from your phone, and when instructed, dial *6 to unmute yourself. Individuals joining us through Zoom may make a request by selecting the raise hand feature and select the unmute or the microphone icon when instructed. We will first hear from speakers that are in person. We did not receive any written communications.
Thank you. First speaker, initials BC on item number 2.
That's quite an arsenal. I don't know who you're preparing to meet out there. I think our police need to be supported more than they are. We have a movement amongst other progressive liberal Democrats to defund police and tie their hands behind their back. I think they need more support and they need to be trusted. You need to add police officers to your ranks. Give up on some of these failed social programs that you always wanted to do. Police need the support. I was kind of interested to hear the vision for future use of drones. An example would be maybe having armed drones, maybe facial recognition drones. I'd be against those, by the way. It's too intrusive. But most of these vehicles and things are used for rescue. I think it's not a good idea to remove the human aspect of measuring out accidents whenever possible. I think we should have the human touch and accountability to go with that. We don't need to be entrusting ourselves to non-human computers because they can have biased programmed into them, and we don't need any such things like that. I would like to hear the police admit once in a while, and I don't think it's a bad thing if they did, that they would love to have law-abiding residents own maybe 2, 3 firearms themselves in their home for protection. Police can't be everywhere, and we can't expect them to be everywhere all the time. You know, and crime will go down if the criminal knows that somebody is armed and they could be coming upon some danger for themselves. We do have a Second Amendment, and I think it'd be a good idea. Most police forces do agree with that, but you don't need an arsenal of 10 guns. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous, but maybe 2, 3, maybe a pistol and a rifle. Doesn't have to be high caliber stuff. So trust our police. I don't know if you need all this arsenal here. I mean, this is, it could do a lot of damage with this stuff. Unless something's happening out there that we don't know about, this seems a little over the top, but that's your call, so good luck with it.
If there's no objection by members of the City Council Successor Agency, I will close public participation for public hearing item number 2. And if there are no further council member questions or comments, I will now close the public hearing at 7:12 p.m. May I have a motion to waive the full reading and introduce ordinance 949 by title only, adopting a military equipment use policy in accordance with state law?
I make the motion.
I'll second.
City Clerk, please conduct a roll call vote.
Thank you. Members of the Council and Successor Agency, Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Pulido.
Yes.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barcena. And Mayor Gomez.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, we will now move to public participation for items not listed on the agenda. Public participation is now open. City Clerk, please announce the instructions for public participation.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Members of the public will now have an opportunity to speak on items not listed on the agenda. Please state your name for the record before addressing your comments. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes, subject to an overall 30-minute period, unless announced otherwise. Callers wishing to make a comment may do so at this time by dialing *9 from your phone, and when instructed, dial *6 to unmute yourself. Individuals joining us through Zoom may make a request by using the raise hand feature and select the unmute or microphone icon when instructed. We will first hear from speakers that are in person, and we did not receive any written communication.
Thank you. BC on non-agenda items.
Quick reference back to the presentation's proclamation for National Fentanyl Prevention. In light of the passing of the pot shops that you are doing, to actually gaslight as much as you do about how you hate fentanyl, I mean, really? Who do you think you're kidding? You want to stop fentanyl? We have a lady over in Downey running Wolf. She's in with Mario Trujillo and the pot crowd and all this stuff. They're stopping fentanyl, but yet we have all these deaths from fentanyl. Well, if you want to stop fentanyl, why don't you advocate for the federal government? Robert Garcia, his picture's right on the wall out here, and let's close this border. Why don't you advocate for closing the border, sealing it up, and get all the illegal aliens out? Because that's where the fentanyl's coming from. But you won't do that. So the conflict that you're in is a joke. It's a joke. There's no solution that you can provide because you don't intend on providing a solution for this issue. But yet you act like, oh, it's just terrible, and we're going to recognize the poor people on fentanyl that die from fentanyl. You know, it's like the child trafficking at the southern border. You got 13-year-old girls getting raped, beat up. Well, we've got Olympics where girls are getting beat up by guys now, and they're given medals for it. And none of you girls say a word. but you are supposedly defenders of women's rights. You're frauds. You're absolute frauds. It's terrible to watch a guy beat up a girl in a boxing ring, but you don't even say anything when they're pulling them across the border down here and doing unspeakable things to them. So stop with the gaslighting. Let's get serious. The pot crew the lines are drawn. We know who's who now. You're also the same people that'll support AB 1955. That was signed by Blanca Pacheco. We know who everybody is now. AB 1955. And you call people that stick up for their kids actually domestic terrorists. But you want the state to have all the say and control over somebody else's kids. We're not going to let you do it. Sorry.
All right, and do we have any more comments? Okay, thank you. If there is no objection by the members of the City Council Successor Agency, I will close public participation for non-agenda items. Public participation is now open for items listed on the City Council Successor Agency Joint Agenda. City Clerk, please announce the instructions for public participation.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of the public will now have an opportunity to speak on items listed on the agenda. Please state your name for the record before addressing your comments. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Callers wishing to make a comment may do so at this time by dialing *9 from your phone. And when instructed, dial *6 to unmute yourself. Individuals joining us through Zoom may make a request by using the raise hand feature and select the unmute or microphone icon when instructed. We will begin to hear from the members of the public that are physically present, and there were no written communications received.
Thank you. First speaker is Adan Loya on item number 14.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, Chief of Staff, my name is Adan Loya. I represent Mr. C's Towing. I just want to thank the City Council for this opportunity. We've been providing services in the city for 5 years. We would like to continue providing the services for the police department. We've been involved in the community events such as State of the City, the Lions Club, golf tournaments for the POA. We done some food and diapers giveaway on COVID times. It was tough years. Etching with the police department, National Night Out, scholarships for schools, trunk or treats for schools. The staff report EBC on item number 14. We are the lowest rates of the 3 companies. You see that by a lot. We employ 55 employees, and most of them are from the area of the Southeast LA. We have over 20 trucks, 7 flatbeds, 13 wheel lift, 2 big rigs. We have 3 acres in our facility with cameras. We can store up to 900 cars, indoor and outdoor. We have 12 evidence hold for the vehicles that are in evidence. We serve over 16 cities in the Southeast. Local municipalities, county, and state. At this moment, we're communicating with Ford and Chevrolet to be the first company in the United States to have green trucks. We want to go green, especially in our communities that so contaminated, especially in the 710, and we want to do that for the communities. I just want to say thank you for this opportunity. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Mike Welsh on item number 14.
Hi, my name is Mike Welsh. Thank you for allowing me to come up and speak to you guys. I represent Mr. C's Towing as well. I just wanted to come up and thank you guys and, show our gratitude for the fact that we've had the opportunity to service the city in a contract with the police department for the last 5 years. It's been a great honor for us to do so. And, we really look forward to continuing to be able to work with you guys in the future. And if that doesn't happen tonight for whatever reason, I just want you to know that we'll always be here for the city of Bell Gardens no matter what. And we have a lot of gratitude behind the last 5 years that we've been able to spend with you. So thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Next up, Rogelio Rodriguez on item number 8.
Mi nombre es Rogelio Rodríguez. El tópico de la marihuana, y lo dice aquí, ustedes posiblemente vayan a pasar ciertas ordenanzas para de esa manera colectar dinero para sus candidatos en las elecciones. Recordemos que todos ustedes, con excepción de uno, pero nunca dijo yo no, calladito y caminó con todos, pasaron la marihuana. Si ustedes no ven las consecuencias que nos va a traer la venta de marihuana en nuestra comunidad, que ya está pasando. Hace como una semana o algo así, mataron a otra persona aquí en la Loveland. ¿Quién cree que lo han matado? Son personas que posiblemente perdieron la mentalidad o los cerebros a causa de la marihuana. Y ustedes siguen como si nada, pasando agendas y agendas. ¿Para qué? Para dañar más a su comunidad. ¿Dónde están las promesas que ustedes hicieron? Ustedes cuando corrieron, dijeron, y se los voy a decir quién, le dijeron que Gerardo Rodríguez, mi yerno, tenía files de marihuana en Riverside. Y tengo las pruebas de probarlo que ustedes lo hicieron. Sin embargo, ustedes voltearon todo, lo hicieron para ustedes. Y ustedes posiblemente son una bola de marihuanos, porque esa persona no hacía eso. Pero ahora les voy a dar una idea, pero es en la otra, supuestamente de parking. En la comunidad de Bell Gardens tenemos un gran problema con los estacionamientos. Todos ustedes saben, si viven en Bell Gardens, que lo dudo, bien saben que ya después de en la tarde a ciertas horas no encuentro un estacionamiento en toda la ciudad. Y también me gustaría que le hicieran el favor a las personas que tienen troques. Tienen un lugar vacío que supuestamente ha contaminado. ¿Por qué no le dan la oportunidad a esos troqueros que vienen aquí en Bell Gardens a estacionar sus troques allá y no molesten a nadie en nuestra comunidad? Porque han cometido varios errores ustedes. Lo otro es permitir que se construyan edificios de 2 plantas, cuando sabemos bien que no hay estacionamientos. ¿Dónde tienen la cabeza ustedes? Que si ahorita hay 3 lugares, todos los developers van a buscar esa manera de cómo sacar provecho del poco terreno que tenemos en nuestra comunidad y lo van a llenar de carros. Eso es lo que vamos a tener en el futuro. Y lo que vamos a tener en el futuro, volviendo a la marihuana, una bola de marihuanos.
Next speaker is Mark Hussan on item number 14.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Mark Hassan. I'm one of the owners of AMPM Towing. First off, I wanted to thank the council this evening for giving us the opportunity to participate in the towing RFP. As you're aware, AMPM Towing has been a local tow company for the last 30 years, 30 plus years. We're also the local AAA service provider in the city. Myself, I've been in the towing business for over 2.5 decades. I've provided service with multiple different cities and counties and state agencies. I have extensive experience in light, medium, and heavy-duty towing. And, we want to be a partner with the City of Bell Gardens. Historically, we have not towed for the police department, but we have towed for the California Highway Patrol. I myself have towed for other police departments in different cities. And I just wanted to come up here and introduce myself and thank you for giving us the opportunity.
Thank you. Next speaker is Karim Hassan.
Good evening, City Council. Karim Hassan. I am one of the owners of AMPM Towing. I first off want to say thank you so much for everything you guys do, giving us the opportunity to come up here and present ourselves. And yeah, we have been here local within 30 years. AMPM Towing, the city of Bell Gardens, really, really close by. 5 minutes away. The availability is over there. Really very good for the city. And we are contracted with government agencies such as California Highway Patrol. And we do perform high service quality on behalf of AAA, subcontractors with AAA. And we are really, really appreciated that we have the opportunity to be able to perform service. And again, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Next speaker is Sergio Magana.
Hello. My name is Sergio Magana. Thank you for giving the opportunity to talk. I currently work. I'm an employee for AMPM Towing. I do currently live in the city of Bell Gardens. I do hope you guys give us the opportunity to work with you guys. This company is a very good company. I worked there for very years. It's a very reliable company, very good. I've enjoyed working at this company for many years. So I'm hoping we can work with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last speaker is initials BC on agenda item number 8.
If I may, not just number 8, but AMPM Towing, I've had to use them a couple of times. They've always been pretty good. Most of the towing companies are pretty good. You hear some nightmares, but I think most that I've dealt with AMPM, they've been pretty good. So you'll decide that. I think government needs to be involved in some cases. I think maybe that's one. But in number 8, Stizzy is back. Ah, yeah, there we go. Stizzy, pot shops. I don't understand why government needs to get involved in this anyway. The state has already given the okay that you can grow 6 plants yourself. I mean, and if a plant is putting out, hopefully it's a female, of course, if it's putting out 35, 40 buds, that's a lot. That's 240 buds. That's not enough to last you all year. I don't know. Why does government need to get involved? We need smaller government, less government. You guys can't run anything. You're getting pot shops in here to get revenue. Because first of all, you don't know how to reduce inflation at the local level. You certainly don't know how to reduce it at the federal level. You got Kamala now running. Well, they did a coup on the old man. They stabbed him in the back and shoved him out. But now Kamala is being thrust into the situation. She didn't even receive a vote during the primaries. And you're defenders of democracy, right? And what's she going to do about inflation? She has no clue. Donald Trump left 1.4% inflation. It's now up to 9.2. Oh, but it's his fault. I understand. But the government involved in pot shops? No. No. You can grow your own. You don't need to get involved in any of that. If you grow your own, you can get 6 plants. You get the buds, right when they're really good. They got a little bit of goo in them, And you could just put it in your pipe and you can smoke it and enjoy the art. Enjoy some artwork or something. Play some music. But we don't need government involved in any of this stuff. Like I say, you can't run anything. You're crumbling. You're ruining the state of California. You're ruining the county of LA. You're ruining Bell Gardens. You're ruining Downey. You're Democrats. That's what you do. You guys could run the Sahara Desert and there'd be a shortage of sand in 6 months. Give it up.
If there is no objection by the members, I will close public participation. City Manager, will you please give your report?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Gomez. First off, I just want to acknowledge, thanks. I think I said this at the last meeting too. Summer's coming to a close. Thank you to the council. Thank you to all the residents, all the businesses, stakeholders, all the staff from all departments for all these events that we've had. Just looking back to the last council meeting that we had back, I think it was around July 22nd. I want to mention a few of the things that we've had going on, and then a few things that are coming up. Back on July 24th, Chief Camacho had a well-attended Bell Gardens Police Department meet and greet at Ross Hall. I think some council members were there, and it sounded like he had a full house there. Also want to mention on a couple of occasions, we've had our cooling centers open due to the weather. So just so everybody knows, the cooling center, we use the same criteria as LA County does. So when there are 2 days that are forecast with a heat index of 95, we open the cooling centers. Heat index is based on the temperature and the humidity. So 91 degrees with a 50% humidity makes it feel like it's 95. So we open the cooling centers. So the Recreation Community Services staff and the city manager staff are always looking at the forecast. On July 25th, we had the second to last summer movie night at Veterans Park. August 1st was Bell Gardens' 63rd anniversary of being an incorporated city. 3 years ago, we had a big birthday cake up on the ceiling, and I think there's a 65th birthday obviously coming in 2 years, so maybe we'll look at doing something special for that. On August 1st, we had our last. Actually, I don't think that one was our last. I'm sorry. We had another summer concert, August 3rd, which was a Saturday. I mentioned this at the last meeting. We had a Not Soak City adventure. There were 27 Bell Gardens residents that participated in that event. So I know those kind of events I think are important. There's some kids that probably don't always get to go to Not Soak City. This may be the one time in their life, maybe the one time that they get to go to a place like that. This is just coming from experience of my own childhood. And so I'm always happy to see 27 residents took advantage of that trip to Not Soak City. So I'm sure they had a great time. Last Tuesday, August 6th, we had our National Night Out event sponsored by Bell Gardens Police Department and the Neighborhood Watch. That event went great. We had obviously our police department with all their vehicles, all their different teams and units out there. We had the fire department. We had Montebello Unified. We had the faith-based groups. We had a number of other associations and nonprofits from the city at that event. So that was really great, nice weather. Also, we did have our final summer movie night on August 8th. We had our back to school resource fair this Saturday. So this one was for Bell Gardens residents only. In past years, sometimes we've partnered with an assembly member and we've done more backpacks, but it wasn't just for Bell Gardens residents. It was for the assembly district. In this case, it was just for Bell Gardens residents. Everybody that was school age that showed up got a backpack. We gave out over 400 backpacks at that event. Also want to mention coming up this Saturday, August 17th, is a financial literacy workshop. We've had these periodically every month or two at Ross Hall. This one's on cybersecurity, fraud prevention. It's at 10:30 a.m. at Ross Hall. Also, this weekend is yard sale weekend. So in the city of Bell Gardens, yard sales are not allowed on normal weeks, but there are several weekends throughout the year where yard sales are encouraged. You don't have to have a permit. You're just able to put your stuff out in your front yard and in your driveway, garage, wherever, and have a yard sale. That's Saturday and Sunday. A last minute item that we're adding to the calendar for Monday, August 19th. Over the last 30 to 60 days, Hannon Park and Asmus Park have brand new playground equipment, brand new playing services, that rubberized service, brand new paint. And also we've been working with, through a project that the council approved and was funded through grants, with murals to be developed and then to be painted at both of those parks. And that was completed this weekend. Thank you to the artists. It was hot out last weekend. It was hot out again this weekend. They pulled through and got the artwork done. Bernie's group in Public Works is going to be or has applied the graffiti protectant over the artwork. But with time being of the essence, we are going to set up a ribbon cutting event at Asmus Park on Monday, August 19th. It'll be in the evening, so it'll be after school hours, after work hours, so people come out for that. We'll be posting shortly on social media and adding to our calendar as well. Also want to mention next week we have our monthly workshops for property owners. That's on Tuesday at City Hall, and one for tenants on Wednesday at City Hall. And also just mentioning, we every Friday we have the BG Resident Arts and Yard Sale. That's at 11 a.m. to 3:30 at Veterans Park. So come out every Friday. It's there. And the last item that I would just like to say, I want to remind everybody about our app, our service app. That's Bell Gardens Connect. You can get it on the Apple Store. You can get it for Samsung products as well. We've transitioned internally. We were this project has been going and the app has been up for about 8 months now. We were handling a lot of it through the city manager's office, specifically through HILIS. We've started pushing that out to the departments as we get more downloads and we get more service requests through that app. The HILIS and myself met with the ad hoc committee for the app. That is Councilmember Sanchez and Mayor Pro Tem Barcena. And we talked about some ways to get increased downloads and also increased usage of the app. So that'll be coming here shortly. We've been busy with all the summer activities, and but we'll be moving on that here in the next few weeks. And with that, thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
Thank you. Before moving on to the consent calendar, we're going to take a 15-minute break, and we will be back with consent calendar. Thank you.
Mayor, the meeting is now being streamed again.
Thank you. At this time, we will resume the council meeting at 8:02 p.m. And we will move on to the consent calendar. Does any member of the council successor agency wish to pull an item for separate discussion? Okay, hearing none, I will now call for a motion to approve items number 3 through 12 of the consent calendar. May I have a motion?
I move.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Sanchez de Leon and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Barcena. City Clerk, please call a roll call vote.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Members of the council and successor agency, Chavez,
That'll be aye with the exception of number 8. That'll be a no. Thank you.
Councilmember Pulido,
Yes.
Councilmember Sanchez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barcena,
Yes.
and Mayor Gomez.
Yes.
Motion passes.
City Manager, will you please announce discussion item number 13?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Gomez. This item is the local commission's appointment list. So at this time, if the council would like to make any modifications to that list, it would be appropriate to do so. Thank you, Mayor.
Does anyone have any changes, additions, removals? Nope. Then we will move on, seeing none. City Manager, will you please announce discussion item number 14?
Yes, thanks again, Mayor Gomez. This item is to consider a franchise agreement for police ordered towing and storage services. Our police chief, Camacho, has a presentation along with his lieutenant. I will turn it over to them at this point. Thank you, Mayor.
Madam Mayor, it's going to be Lieutenant Barrios doing the presentation tonight.
Good evening again. So City of Bell Gardens franchise agreement for police order towing and storage services. Why does the city need a towing service? The City of Bell Gardens regularly requires motor vehicle towing and storage services, including the removal of abandoned, stolen, and damaged vehicles, occasional towing and storage of city-owned vehicles, and special security for vehicles held for evidence. Towing services are not only limited to the police department, but all city vehicles can use the towing service. And the community also benefits from towing service on certain occasions, emergency situations like private tows, if someone locked their keys or they ran out of gas. Current towing services non-exclusive franchise agreement with Mr. C's. On October 14th of 2019, the city entered into a 5-year towing services non-exclusive franchise agreement with Mr. C's. The current agreement with Mr. C's will expire in October of this year. The current agreement contains a renewal option for an additional 5-year term. Mr. C's towing complied with Section 2D of the current agreement and filed a written request for an extension on March 30th of 2024. The city was now required to move forward with the renewal, and on April 8th of 2024, the city opted to go through the request for proposal process for towing services. On April 29th, 2024, a notice for a request for proposal for a non-exclusive franchise agreement for police ordered towing and storage services was released. At the closing of the RFP, Mr. C's Towing was the only company that submitted a proposal. Staff then elected to reopen the RFP in order to provide more options for the city. On June 4th, 2024, the towing services RFP was reopened. And at the closing, which was July 8th, 3 towing companies submitted proposals. And here are the results. Mr. C's Towing of Southgate, Helms and Hill, and AMPM Towing. So the RFP consisted of certain requirements which were used to evaluate the companies, including companies' overall experience, their capability, the proximity and access to the community members, management of the company and the quality of their staff, the ability to effectively communicate and work with city officials and staff members in a highly professional capacity, references, and acceptability of proposed fees and the cost structure, and along with that, community involvement. So I'll go ahead and go over each company. Mr. C's Towing Company has been operating since 2002, and they currently have been in Huntington Park for 8 years. Company has over 22 trucks and employs about approximately 35 drivers. They have a yard in Southgate and Huntington Park. They also have a yard in Signal Hill, but Southgate and Huntington Park are the closest. They have contracts with CHP, LASD, Vernon, PD, Southgate PD, Huntington Park PD. They're located approximately 3.2 miles from the city. Response times have been between 10 and 15 minutes on average, and hours of operation are from 8 to 7 p.m., 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Some of the community involvement participate with city events for the city of Southgate, the Lions Club, the Boys and Girls Club. They donate to the Baker to Vegas team, and obviously Bell Gardens as well. Here are the fees for Mr. C's. So for passenger cars, trucks, and trailers, motorcycles, and all other vehicles, $230. And then for heavier vehicles, it's $330. The storage fees are $75 per day, and the miscellaneous fee is half of the tow fee. So you would divide that in half. Here's their fees are posted in their office. So when the public goes to take their vehicle out of the tow yard, their fees are clearly posted in their office. Their tow yard, 3 acres, capable of holding up to 895 vehicles, almost 900 vehicles. They have a 20,000 square foot enclosed area, which would store vehicles stored for evidence. It's more than 10 vehicles that could fit in that. I'll show you a picture of it right now. So this is a picture of their yard, of their 3-acre yard. This is the front, and it goes all the way to the back. This is that building there would be the evidence storage facility, and inside you see how many cars could fit in there, and it's monitored by cameras as well, and it's secure. Moving forward, Hamson Hill, located in the city of Montebello. Company was founded in 2010. Company employs about 15 drivers, and they have approximately 15 trucks. They're located in Montebello, 3 miles from the city. They currently have contracts with AAA, CHP, Montebello PD, and LA County Sheriff's Pico Rivera Station. The response times are estimated at 10 to 15 minutes. Their hours of operation are from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And their community involvement, they did a catalytic converter stamping project with Montebello PD and the Pico Rivera Sheriff's Department. They're involved with the Montebello PD Explorers Post, the Kiwanis Club, and the City of Montebello functions. Their fees for passenger cars, $265.50. Their heavy duty or overweight vehicles are $450. And as you see, motorcycles and all of the vehicles are $265. Storage fees, $85 for passenger cars. Trucks and trailers over 1 ton, $110. Motorcycles and all other vehicles, $85. They included some more additional fees, a breakdown. This is similar to any of the miscellaneous fees. Opening lock vehicles, $120. Disconnecting or reconnecting a drive shaft, $165. And then upright overturned vehicles, $450. And all other services, $145. This is a picture similar to Mr. C's. They have an office there. That screen would have all the tow fees listed on there. They have parking, obviously. This is their yard. The yard is for approximately 225 vehicles. That's the yard. This enclosure here is the evidence storage facility. They have storage for approximately 8 vehicles with lifts also inside, monitored by cameras also, and it's locked and secured. Moving on to AMPM Towing, located here in the city. Company has been in business for over 30 years. However, this is newer ownership. Company's parent company is Hadley Tow. Company employs 25 drivers and has about 23 trucks. They're located within the city. Hours of operation are from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Community involvement, they have a CHP philanthropy projects, a Tipsy Tow program, which during the holidays, you could call and they could tow your vehicle if you're inebriated or under the influence of alcohol. They participate with the Boys and Girls Club, Youth Sports, and the Southeast LA Kiwanis Club. And they currently have contracts with AAA and CHP. Their tow fees, $260. Daily storage fee for all vehicles, $75. And then their miscellaneous right here, $130. This is the outside of their office with the pricing posted on top. They also have an office inside with the pricing is posted as well. Their yard, 45,000 square feet, capable of holding 75 vehicles. They have a 2,000 square foot warehouse capable of holding 4 to 8 vehicles. This is their evidence. This would be their evidence section, which is, well, it was currently under construction when I went to do my walkthrough. As you can see, they're making it secure. They're going to have cameras in there. This is a ranking of the tow companies: Mr. C's Towing, Helms and Hill, and AMPM Towing. The 3 companies were evaluated and ranked based on the RFP requirements and the requirements of the police department, the needs of the police department. Attention was focused to cost to the community, response times, capability, facility, equipment, and overall service. Staff recommends that the City Council make a decision for police tow and storage services. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments?
In the last 5 years that we've contracted Mr. C's, has there been any significant issues with them regarding call time to pick up a vehicle within 20 minutes?
Not that I'm aware of, there have not. I have not seen any, I haven't experienced any issues. Chief, I don't know if you know of any issues. I have not.
Based on our in-house records, we don't have anything like that.
When they've impounded vehicles for storage behind the containment where it has to be secured, has there been tampering with any of those vehicles at any given time? Has it been a secure facility at all times, or any issues with that?
It's been a secure facility. In fact, when you go, well, most of these tow companies operate the same way, but when you go to Mr. C's, they actually walk, if you want to look at the evidence, like when I did my inspection, they actually have to walk you there, unlock it for you, and then you go in. So it's secure, and it's monitored 24/7 by their cameras.
Thank you.
Yes, so I guess we have the option to, because this is a non-exclusive agreement, we have the option of working with all 3 submittals. Is that correct?
That is correct, Councilmember Marco Barcena. That would be the decision of the City Council.
My question is, are there any advantages or disadvantages from your perspective, because you will be the ones working directly with the towing companies, that you could share maybe an opinion or your professional opinion about the matter in terms of one versus more than one?
So we've done that before in the time that I've been here. We used to have 2 companies. It's just the level of service, right, is what we're looking for, and consistency is what we're looking for. One company may not be as equipped as the other company. And Chief, if you could correct me if I'm wrong, but we generally like to stick with one company. However, we have worked with multiple companies at once.
So if I could add something to that, we have done that, and that was Mr. C's in Titan when that happened about a couple years ago. We gave that a try. It's doable, but it just makes things a little bit more complicated. If somebody comes out of rotation, then sometimes it's hard to put them back, or maybe that company that is next up for the call for service, the response time is it's not fast enough, and then you have to call the other company. So it's this going back and forth. We found it to be at times very ineffective and efficient for the day-to-day operations. I think one of the things that we always look at as a police department is we're trying to do the best or provide the best customer to the residents, and also you have to keep in mind that whenever we have a situation where we're going to tow a vehicle, now we have an officer that is assigned to that vehicle, and unless that vehicle is taken away by the tow driver, then that officer is not going to be able to provide any service to the community because he's going to be stuck on that call.
Mayor Pro Tem, if I can add, I think just to sum up what you're hearing from the lieutenant and the captain is just from an efficiency perspective, it's something that's doable. It was done in 2019 for somewhere in a 3 to 6 month period, as the chief mentioned. I think my biggest concern would be, from the staff side of it, efficiency. We have to do what we have to do, but I think from the resident perspective as well, you have two different tow companies that are towing. So if you're a resident, and you had your vehicle towed and your relative had their vehicle towed on the same day, you're not going to be going to the same tow yard potentially. Or if you had your car towed 2 weeks earlier and it got towed again, there'd be a different provider potentially. So there's an efficiency issue, and I think there's a customer service issue potentially. But that being said, we have done it before, as the chief mentioned.
Thank you all for your responses. I do have another question. Obviously, you guys did a great job with the presentation. I take it our department went and took the pictures and did all that, right? That was excellent. It allowed me, without having visited the towing facilities, for me to see more or less what we're working with here. Now I do see that there are different strengths and weaknesses with all the submittals, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. But I have a question for our legal. If we wanted to iron out some of these details and renegotiate, that's something that we would need to come back to council with, or is that allowed to be done here while on the meeting?
We would have to give direction to staff to renegotiate with the vendors, and then it would come back to council for approval.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mayor. Quick question in regards to the rankings, and I appreciate the presentation, very informative. What was used as a determining factor between separating number 1 and 2, or 2 and 3? I mean, what was the key things that stuck out in your observation that you decided to go with that ranking?
So thank you for the question. So part of like I stated before, there were requirements of the RFP, and we understand obviously those requirements in the customer service aspect of having a towing service. The facility obviously is one. The equipment, you have to have the equipment. If you now have to borrow a heavy-duty truck from another towing company or subcontract, that wouldn't work for us because it's taking an officer out of service basically until that car is towed. So that was looked at as well. And then from the community aspect, the price, right? People are having to pay to get their cars, out of the tow yard. That was a big thing for us. Pretty much every community involvement with our police department. Obviously we currently have Mr. C's, and they've helped us. For example, for our SWAT team, for example, they'll let us borrow cars that they were going to be demolished anyway in order for us to do testing, or training with. Bait car, if you guys understand what a bait car is. So like we'll put a car out in the street, and then see if anybody wants to steal the car, right? And then we catch, car thieves that way. So different things like that they help us with. The etching, right? The etching of the catalytic converters. We've done it with Mr. C. Some of these companies have done it as well. But those, and then how close they are to the city, the response time, all that combined is what helped with our ranking.
Follow-up to that, I noticed that some of these, with the exception of obviously Mr. C, because we contract with them currently, they also contract with other nearby cities, or in the case of AMPM, they contract with CHP. Were we able to do communication with them to do a reference check and just kind of get their experience with them?
So I didn't contact CHP, but I did do some for the other tow companies. I call like Montebello, the Sheriff's Department. CHP is kind of, the way they do it is you're in charge of a certain area. So like, for example, Hamden Hill has a lot of the area around the 60 freeway. I don't even think, I don't remember if Mr. C's even has CHP as a part of their contracts, but we did call certain agencies just to get a feel for the company.
Thank you so much.
I just have a question regarding AMPM. I'd like to know what the fees cover, I guess, because I'm noticing a difference in fees. They're all different. They all charge different rates. So I guess I'm trying to figure out, what do these fees cover?
So I'll just give you like let's say my car gets towed, right? I have to come to the police department and I pay a fee here. There's a release fee. It's $270. If I got arrested for DUI, it's $390. Then I go to the tow company and I pay the towing fee, and then however many days my car was there at the tow yard. That's what would all that together would allow me to get my car out. So if you see Mr. C's has $260, it's I try to get clarification on
AMPM.
I'm sorry, AMPM, $260 for their towing fee. And I have the towing fees for all of them. So $265 for Hamden Hill. And I'm just going off the first, obviously for heavier duty vehicles, it's more. And $230 for Mr. C's. They're kind of all generally within the industry standard. If you see, Mr. C's is probably the least, right? 230. Then you go into the heavy duty vehicles. We're talking about bigger vehicles like trailers, motorhomes, and things like that. That would be more, obviously, and that would be the same. Every tow company would charge you more for that.
Okay.
And then the other thing you want to look at too is obviously the tow fee and then the daily fee, right? $75 per day. You go to Hamden Hill. I'm going the wrong way. Sorry.
Like, I almost kind of wish we would have had like a chart, like just the comparative.
265 and 85, and then AMPM 260 and 75. So they're all kind of around the same.
Okay. Thank you. So do I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2024-63 for vehicle towing and storage services?
Just for clarification, Mayor, the motion would be, the resolution is for approval of a vendor, 1, 2, or 3.
Right.
So that would have to be part of the motion.
I'll go ahead and make a motion, and I'd like to explain why. I would like to see renegotiation of the fees all across the board, and also a little bit more comparing apples to apples, because I know that we have fees there that are not broken down in the same way across all 3 different submittals. So personally, I would like to be able to make a better decision by seeing everything on there, and also renegotiating. So that's my motion.
Just to clarify, Mayor Pro Tem, is it only the motion to renegotiate the fees or renegotiate any terms of the agreement?
The fees, but also including the details that were brought forward, because I didn't see, for example, I saw the $130 from AMPM. that was general, but then in other submittals, I saw like the keys and like all very specific. And I feel like I would like to see everything like on a chart side by side. I don't know if that's the priority of the council, but I just want to put my motion out there in case anyone else is interested in seconding.
I'd like to
And Mayor Pro Tem and legal counsel, I think just on the police department's behalf, they presented the fees as they were presented in the proposal. So I think we left the proposals up to the proposer. So I think part of, if this is what the council, if the motion passes, I think we can come up with, when we meet back with the potential providers, come up with a set listing of fees that they have to tell us so that it's apples to apples and it's comparable on a chart that we can bring at the next council meeting, if that's the way.
Yes, of course, and not only just allowing them to specify the fees, but if they can improve the fees, you know, that's part of the renegotiation that I would like to include in that motion.
And just to clarify, with all three vendors? Yes. Thank you.
I'll second that.
I'd like to do a sub-motion. I would like to make a motion to enter into a non-exclusive agreement with Mr. Seeds for a 3-year term with the option of 2 one-year extensions.
So since
I will second that motion.
the second motion goes first, so, and there was a second for it, so we'll take roll call on the motion made by Councilmember De Leon Sanchez.
And then let's do that.
Okay, so this is a motion selecting Mr. C's council member and successor agency members of successor agency Chavez,
Aye.
council member Pulido,
Yes.
council member Sanchez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barcena.
Obviously, with this vote, it wouldn't, my motion would just die, right?
Correct.
Correct, yeah, that's a yes.
And Mayor Gomez.
No.
Okay, motion passes 4-1.
All right, and let's see, city manager, will you please announce discussion item number 15?
Yes, thanks again, Mayor Gomez. This next item is a report to the council regarding the Ford Park Aquatic Center. Just for background, before I turn it over to Bernie, Liz, and Manuel, we meet monthly with the Aquatic Ad Hoc Committee, which consists of Councilmember Sanchez and Mayor Pro Tem Barcena. We update the website on a monthly basis. We put up social media posts as construction is moving forward. And we thought that it makes sense on a quarterly basis to come to council to give a big picture update of what's happening. This project's going to wrap up in about 13 months. So we'll plan to have about 4 of these before the final project's done. The one last thing I'll say before I turn it over is we want to confirm council's understanding of the potential financing for the pool. We have a recommendation that's in this presentation, but we want to get that solidified now, so it gives us enough time to make different moves if we need to. So with that, I will turn it over to Bernie and Liz and Manuel.
Thank you, Mr. O'Kelly. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. We'll go ahead and start showing some of the conceptual images that some of you have seen, but nevertheless, it's a good refresher as to what the facility would look like. It's a representation, so it might not be exact, but it's pretty close. So here we see the front view of the feature building. Here on the left, we have the 50-meter pool. On the right, we have the therapy pool. And here we have a couple images of the activity pool. So in all, there will be 3 swimming pools constructed. On the left, it shows a depiction of a fitness room. So this will have a fitness room as well. And on the right, you see the breezeway showing some of the locker rooms. So we have a couple of breezeways that are going to be constructed. And here we have the terrace grass seating at the amphitheater area. And this is just an overall aerial image at what the entire facility would look like. So it's pretty sizable facility with 3 swimming pools, a new building, including the gym structure. So I'll go ahead and provide some background. On August 24th of 2023, the city released a request for qualifications to pre-qualify potential bidders for the Aquatic Center project. On November 13th, the City Council determined that the following four contractors were deemed to be pre-qualified. It was Balfour Beatty Construction, Bernard's Brothers, Morillo Construction, and S.J. Amoroso Construction. Also on November 13th, 2023, the City Council approved the plans and specifications and authorized staff to solicit bids from those four potential bidders. On January 22nd, 2024, the City Council awarded a construction contract to Bernard's for a total contract of $26,334,000. On April 1st, the city completed the NEPA environmental review through HUD. This is the federal requirement for environmental reviews. And that was followed by April 4th with the issuance of a notice to proceed with construction to Bernard's. This is after we had cleared the environmental. On April 15th, Bernard's then began mobilization. From May 8th through May 24th, Bernard's remediated asbestos and lead-based containing materials. This was a requirement. Before any demolition activity, we have to verify that these hazardous materials were removed. On May 28th, that's when Bernard's actually started demolition of the pool and the pool building itself. And on July 5th, the demolition activities were completed. And this also included removal of an underground storage fuel tank. The slide before you shows the project costs, which entail design costs, labor compliance, construction management and inspection services, the actual construction costs from Bernard's, a construction contingency of 6%, and also publication and miscellaneous costs. So in all, the total estimated project cost is $31,270,000. Now, more detailed progress. So RGM Design Group, they are our designer of record, the architectural firm that was hired. They have completed the plans, specifications, and estimates. And then these plans were approved by all respective agencies, including LACTA, LA County Health, LA County Fire, and also the city's own Building and Safety Division. As mentioned, Ardura was contracted as the city's construction management and inspection firm, and it has completed the following tasks to date. They have conducted a constructability review. They prepared the request for qualifications. They prepared an updated construction cost estimate for the project. They reviewed the actual construction bids for compliance with our specifications. They coordinated a pre-construction meeting with the contractor. They have conducted construction inspections and observations. They have also coordinated the weekly construction progress meetings at the job site. And they have routed various submittals and requests for information either to the city or to the designer of record. Bernard's, again, was awarded the construction contract, and it has completed the following items to date. They have pulled all the necessary permits for the project. They completed mobilization, which included the installation of temporary fencing, the construction trailers, and temporary power to provide power to the Recreation and Community Services building where this is at. They completed the remediation of the hazardous materials. They completed demo of the pool and the pool building, and also completed clearing and grubbing of the site. Again, they removed the underground storage tank. They began grading activities at the site. They completed excavation for underground utilities. They completed the installation of the underground sewer lines and underground electrical conduits under the Future Aquatics building footprint. They began installation of the underground water lines. They poured concrete for the search chamber slab and walls. They have routed various submittals and requests for information to Ardura, and they have ordered equipment, materials, and supplies for the project. The slide before you shows photographs of the progress that's been made to date. So on the upper left, you see the installation of the fencing and the construction trailers, followed by photos of items being covered for the removal of asbestos and lead-based containing materials. You'll see the actual demo of the structure itself. In the middle, we have the groundbreaking photograph that was taken by council. On the lower left, you see the underground storage tank that was removed. And then on the lower right, you see the actual site already cleared, followed by the framing and rebar for the actual search chamber. So this is actual construction activity that we are now starting to see. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Liz Nava to talk about the project funding. Liz?
Thank you, Bernie. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. I'm just going to briefly review project funding and current aquatic activities that the city is hosting. As you might remember, the city sought out funding from local dignitaries and was able to receive approximately $13.5 million from various funding sources. Thank you. We're very proud of that. The State Land and Water Conservation Fund awarded a grant of $6 million. County Supervisor Janice Hahn funded $4 million. Former Assembly Member Christina Garcia funded $2 million, and former Congresswoman Roy Ball Allard funded $1.5 million, leaving approximately $14.6 million from the general fund. However, staff is continuing to seek additional funding from local sources to help mitigate the cost towards the general fund. Despite not having an actual facility in the city of Bell Gardens, the Recreation and Community Services Department staff continue to provide services out of a small pool just on the border of Bell Gardens and Montebello in the city of Montebello at their Chet Hollyfield Park. We were able to provide not just a lot of Bell Gardens residents, but actually City of Montebello residents with recreational swim and swim lessons. So it's a great partnership. We have exclusive access to this pool, so no one else uses this pool but the City of Bell Gardens. So we have a partnership and an MOU right now with the City of Montebello for the use and exclusive use of their pool. And each year we submit for a grant from LA 84, which is a nonprofit organization that was founded out of the 1984 Olympics here in LA. And last year we received a $10,000 grant, which allowed us to give 330 residents free swimming lessons. And this year we doubled that, and we were actually able to give 660 free swimming lessons to Bell Gardens residents. So we're hoping to increase that every single year. And that's my brief portion, and I'm going to go ahead and hand it back over to Bernie.
Thank you, Liz. So now I'm going to talk about what's coming up, tentative schedule for the upcoming construction activity. So later this week, actually at the end of this week, we anticipate completion of the installation of the underground water lines for the building. On August 23rd, we anticipate the installation of 8-inch and 12-inch storm drain lines and also the natural gas lines. On September 27th, we anticipate completion of rough grading, excavation for the 3 new pools to be completed, and also completion of the search chamber. On November 12th, we anticipate completion of the aquatics building foundation. On January 2nd of 2025, we anticipate completion of the structure construction. So what that means is that the shell of the future buildings will be completed, framing it all, with obviously the in-wall amenities needing to be installed. On July 2nd, we anticipate completion of permanent power to the facility. And then on September 26, 2025, we anticipate substantial project completion. What that means is that the entire build-out is complete, and the only items that will remain are punch list items to be completed by the contractor. So with that, now I'll go ahead and turn it over to Manuel Carrillo to talk about our fiscal impact.
Thank you very much, Bernie. Can everyone hear me okay? Wonderful, thank you. Good evening, everyone, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Council. I'd like to take a moment to provide some detail into the fiscal impact and financing options associated with the Aquatic Center project. As previously indicated, the total Aquatic Center project cost is $31,270,000. Of that, $16,670,000 would come from grants and CDBG funding. The remaining $14.6 would come from the city's general fund. Now, on a related note, we estimate ongoing annual staffing and operational costs of approximately $1.3 million for the pool's actual operation. This, of course, would need to be factored into the annual fiscal budgets moving forward every fiscal year. So the 3 options that are available to the city relate to the payments of the remaining 14.6 are: 1, a one-time payment of 14.6 million from the city's general fund. This would reduce the general fund balance from 35 million to 20 million. Option 2 is the issuing of a 30-year bond for 15 million, resulting in an annual ongoing debt service payment of approximately 916,000 per year, or a cumulative total payments of 27.5 million over the course of the 30-year period. The third option is the issuing of a 20-year bond for 15 million, resulting in annual ongoing debt service payments of approximately 1.1 million, or cumulative total payments of 22.5 million over the course of the 20-year period. Now, staff is recommending the adoption of option number 1, the one-time payment of 14.6 million from the general fund. Doing so would help in avoiding significant interest costs of as much as 8 to 13 million over the 20 to 30-year periods, depending, of course, on the financing option selected, if the city were to go that route. Staff would also like to point out that the city's general fund balance has increased by 17 million over the last 5 years, indicating sufficient availability of funds to fully pay for the 14.6 million needed to finalize the project. So just to reiterate, again, staff is recommending the pursuit of option number 1, which is the one-time payment of 14.6 million. That does conclude my portion of this. Bernie, I would like to pass it back to you, and if there's any questions, I'd be more than glad to assist if needed.
Thank you, Manuel. In conclusion, staff will continue to keep the City Council informed of the construction progress. Staff will also continue to seek outside funding sources to minimize the impact to the general fund. With that, staff recommends that the City Council, 1, receive and file the John Anson Ford Park Regional Aquatic Center improvements update, and 2, direct staff to proceed with finance option number 1. That concludes our presentation, and we would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments?
I do have a question. I just want to reiterate, I know that I asked this question during the ad hoc meeting, but I just want to ensure to my colleagues and to everyone that if we do this one-time fee, that we still have a healthy budget, physically to be able to sustain our city. So I don't know if you or the city manager would like to speak on that.
Sure, I can take that, Manuel. Yes, Councilmember Sanchez. So as that last slide showed, the fund balance has grown by $17 million over the last 5 years through different financial means, things that the City Council has approved over the last several years. The recommendation for any municipal government is to have about 2 months or about 17–18% of whatever your general fund expenditures are in fund balance. That number should generally be higher if you're a city such as Bell Gardens or like in Anaheim or Commerce or Huntington or Hawaiian Gardens, where you have one or more single large sources of revenues. In that case, obviously, Bell Gardens has the Bicycle Hotel and Casino. So even after even if the council approves this and even after we spend the money, we would still have over double that in our fund balance, which would be sufficient. It would still be slightly more than what we had 5 years ago prior to starting to save money up for the swimming pool. So there would be plenty of fund balance. Of course, that's always dependent on the card room continuing to move forward and sales tax coming in and things like that. But we definitely have about double what the recommended fund balance would be in accordance with GFOA recommendations, would cover the whole country.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Any other questions? None? Okay, and seeing none, may I have a motion to receive and file this item and proceed with finance option 1?
I'll move.
Second?
We have a roll call vote.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Chavez?
Aye.
Councilmember Pulido?
Yes.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barcena?
Yes.
And Mayor Gomez?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And we will now move to council member comments. Councilmember Chavez?
Real brief, just want to thank everybody for a great meeting. Thank you so much to staff. Thank you to everybody. in all of the departments working really hard. It's been a successful summer, and I'm excited to continue pushing forward in this year. It's crazy to think that we're already almost close to halfway through August, and I feel like it was just 4th of July like last month, which it was. But anyways, it's exciting, and I'm looking forward to our Fiestas Patrias, and also the Halloween and the Dia de los Muertos event later in the next couple of months. So with that said, thank you again to staff. Thank you to everybody. Have a great night.
Councilmember Pulido.
No comments from me, thank you.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Yes, thank you. I just want to thank staff once again for everything that you guys have done for the city. I do want to invite everybody to come out on October 6th. We're going to have the first annual Eddie Cochran Memorial Car Show. It's going to be taking place at Ford Park. If you have a classic vehicle that's a pre-1964 vehicle, please register it. If you're a vendor, whether it's food or you sell different items, we are looking for vendors, so you can go ahead and go on the city's website, and the car show link is there. We are partnering up with the American Legion, Celos Kiwanis, and the Basin Bombers, so the City of Bell Gardens will be hosting this collaborative car show along with them. So I invite everybody once again, October 6th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Ford Park.
Mayor Pro Tem Barcena.
Too bad. I have a 1965, so I guess I'm not allowed to
Sorry,
join.
you don't meet the requirement.
I want to say hello to my colleague, Maria Pulido. I hope you're doing well with the baby. I also want to say thank you to City Manager for still being able to log on and carrying on with city business. I appreciate that. I want to invite everyone to make some time. We're still finalizing the schedule for the ribbon cutting for the art that we did at Julia Asmus. So that's exciting. If you guys are available on Monday evening, you'll be receiving a confirmation on that. And also next week, the Mindful Meditation, which is a volunteer-ran group that does meditations twice a month. They're going to be celebrating their 1-year anniversary. So everyone's invited to come on by. It's going to be like a potluck, and it's going to be over at the golf course. So yeah, we're going to be putting out a flyer, but everyone's invited. Thank you to staff for everything you do. Appreciate all your work, and have a good night.
And so finally, I would like to say thank you to all of our staff for the wonderful events that we've had this entire summer. You guys, as always, do a great job. I was really, really impressed with the back to school event. It's really beautiful, and I'm so impressed with the creativity of staff and what that means for our kids, for our residents. So thank you very much for that. National Night Out was great. Thank you for that. And I do want to make one announcement. Earlier late last year, we recognized one of our residents, known as Chayo Quintero, Rosario Quintero, who's the cyclist who rode from Bell Gardens to Mexico, to Sonora. He's doing it again this year, and in collaboration with Cela Kiwanis, with our PD, and with the city's support, Cela Bicycle Center, we're planning on doing a ride on the 29th of September. So mark your calendars, that's on a Sunday. We're doing a ride through the city. By then, our Sharrows should be completed, so we can highlight our Sharrows. And this essentially will be a fundraising event to benefit Cela Kiwanis, and those funds will go towards the Children's Fund, and a portion of that will also go to our Touch Point Church here in the city of Bell Gardens. They do a lot of work to support our residents with weekly food distributions. They provide services to the homeless, to the unhoused. I need to learn to not say homeless anymore. To the unhoused, haircuts, clothing, all kinds of services that they provide. So we really do want to support them. And so yes, keep your calendars open on there for the 29th. Pump up your tires, fix your chains, make sure that your bikes are in good working order, and we're going to have a really fun ride through the city. He's planning on leaving to Mexico the weekend after, so we want to make sure that we give him a good send-off.
Is it true that the chief is going to race him to Mexico, or?
Look, I don't know. Look, that gentleman rode all the way on an old beater bike right? I don't know, you have a fancy carbon fiber, so who knows? But in any case, thank you so much, everyone, and have a great night. And if there is no objection by the members, I will now adjourn the City Council Successor Agency Joint Meeting at 8:51 p.m.